Well, wouldn't you know it that it's Monday once again, and around here that means it's countdown day. And as voted on by fans all across social media, this time around we're going to be looking at the top 10 insectoid transformers. And I chose the word insectoid very carefully. Some people pointed out that the correct word that I was looking for was arthropod. And while that is the scientific term that I would be looking for, I also realized that it's not necessarily accessible to everybody. If you're an entomologist or a bug or an insect or an arachnid enthusiast, for example, then yeah, you probably know the word arthropod. But not necessarily everyone would. However, a lot of people would at least recognize insect. And while some people said, hey, arachnids and crustaceans for that matter aren't insects, they are insectoid. The definition of insectoid is something that is insect or arachnid-like. More specifically, if we are using the scientific term of arthropod, it means jointed leg. 6 legs, 8 legs, creepy crawly legs of all kinds. That's what's included in spreading the widest net possible for the latest GotBot Counts Down. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below, also in the description down below, and if you happen to be in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And like I said, this is the top 10 insectoids, and I wanted to give an explanation because some people, like I said, pointed out that certain votes weren't for insects. And I knew that that was going to happen, so I said I'm just going to cast a wide net. And while I respect that some people actually knew the scientific term and used arthropod, I also knew that not all voters are necessarily up on their bug science, necessarily, right? So I said I'm going to use a term that really everybody should at least be able to recognize enough to cast their vote. So everything from spiders to crabs to beetles to mosquitoes, flies, bees, I don't know, cockroaches, whatever else that you could put in the whole creepy crawly category got included here. So with that being said, let's do our 2 honorable mentions, which I find very interesting. One of them in particular I find very interesting. The first is Tripredacus from Beast Wars, which is a combiner, but I would count it as the character, the combined character of Tripredacus, and when you split up the 3 component parts, they do, I believe, turn into insects of different sorts. As well, the other honorable mention, I like this one, is the monster bot Repugnus. Now, while we did monsters and stuff separately in beasts, Repugnus does very much, especially around his head with his chompers and his claws, have a very bug-like feel to his monster mode. Whereas Grotesque, for example, seems to have more like a griffin type of feel, whereas Double Cross, Double Cross, is that his name? I think that's his name, Double Cross, right? Twinferno, I think it got renamed, is like a 2-headed dragon. Repugnus comes across like a bug, basically. Neither of those, Tripredacus nor Repugnus, got enough votes to actually rank on the list. We only have 10 slots, and there's an awful lot of bugs and an awful lot of characters. So what are we going to do? We're going to kick things off with number 10 first. Number 10 is the cool, cruel, devious Airachnid. Yeah, Airachnid, like, there's a couple of different personas for her. I mean, some kind of describe her as like an amoral scientist. Another talks about how she likes to collect parts of endangered species, her victims, especially their heads. She is definitely vicious. She takes joy and delight in, torture and sadness and chaos. She pretty much hunts RC and Jack in Transformers Prime. And really, that's probably her best iteration. She reaches a point where she actually has the ability to control other Insecticons and becomes an energon vampire. And even kind of at her lair, calls all the Insecticons close to her and worship her as their queen, all while she drains them of their energon. Even her own underlings she's cruel to, a tyrant of the highest degree, who also turns into an insectoid by way of an arachnid. Airachnid takes the number 10 slot. Number 9 sticks with the arachnid-like definition of insectoid with Tarantulas. Yeah, the sadistic, vicious Tarantulas. The cannibalistic Tarantulas. Again, you could use the term amoral scientist here. I've always thought that it would be terrifying to team Tarantulas up with Shockwave. Can you only imagine the machinations that they would devise and develop? It's funny, I used a lot of the things that I'm describing Tarantulas with for Arachnid as well. Maybe it's something about spiders. Anyway you cut it though, the vicious Tarantulas takes the number 9 slot. Number 8 is kinda sorta a tie, because we have a character that has the same name but 2 different versions by way of Scorponok. The G1 and the Beast Wars got the same number of votes, so I just put them together and I'm using the head of the Titan class, Earthrise Scorponok here. A Scorpion mode, again, not exactly an arachnid definition of insectoid, but not an insect definition of insectoid because we still have 8 legs here. But yes, scorpions would certainly count here as well. There were other versions of Scorponok, such as the Energon one that got votes, but not enough to really go include it here other than as like an aside, right? The ones that got like a split vote were the G1 as well as the Beast Wars. And you know what? A Scorponok, by any other continuity, is still a Scorponok. And Scorponok takes the number 8 slot. And number 7 stays with our 8-legged theme, stays with an arachnid theme. I think this is the last arachnid on the list, by way of Blackarachnia. A lot of people said, look, if for no other reason, she is one of the most renowned, well-known insectoid characters. Even if you didn't watch Beast Wars or Transformers Animated, most people know Blackarachnia. As a matter of fact, Airachnid from Transformers Prime is often misnamed by people as Blackarachnia. But if you go back to Beast Wars and Beast Machines, and you watch the evolution of the character of Blackarachnia, she goes from, well, bad girl to bad girl, but she goes from Predacon to Maximal. She has a great redemption story, probably second only to Dinobot himself, where she realizes her full potential and discovers love along the way, all while still being a creepy crawly and true to her nature. Blackarachnia, I was going to say Arachnid. Blackarachnia takes the number 7 slot. Number 6 takes us to Transformers Prime and Hardshell. This is my custom painted Hardshell that I've done in kind of G1 Insecticon colors. And he does kind of look pretty good as part of my Insecticon group. I don't know why I didn't leave him green. I don't know. I guess back in the day I wanted him as a version of Bombshell would be my guess. I mean, it's been, what, a decade or so? Nevertheless, the character of Hardshell himself, very enigmatic. He is a very capable, intelligent warrior. Even Shockwave says that he relies on strategy and weaponry over his instincts, unlike the other Insecticons. He is known to have taken out many a wrecker, and even in the Transformers Prime program, he was a formidable foe for both Wheeljack and Bulkhead. Ironically, it was Miko who actually took him out. I know. I'm surprised by it too. In fact, so was Megatron. Because all indications pointed to Hardshell being perhaps the most capable, most vicious, most skilled of the Insecticons, and could match up with many a skilled combatant along the way. Hardshell from Transformers Prime takes the number 6 slot. And here we are once again at the ever-popular, ever-coveted halfway mark. And at the halfway mark, we have none other than Kickback, one of the original Insecticons. To be fair, this is much like with Scorponok, where there was kind of an even split between the G1 version of Kickback and the Fall of Cybertron version of Kickback. And to be fair, both of them essentially have the same characterization. Somebody who comes across as your best friend, real chummy, real nice. Also, he can learn your secrets and blackmail and manipulate and deceive you to do his bidding. It also helps that he's a little bit psychotic, so his moral code is pretty low. So when it comes to using your own weaknesses and your own secrets against you, very few Insecticons, very few Transformers are as adept at doing so as Kickback. Yeah, Kickback takes the number 5 slot. Coming in at number 4, and following on from Kickback, we have Shrapnel. He's the one who has the tick that everybody thinks applies to all of the Insecticons. I don't think it does, though. I think it's only Shrapnel who has that repetitive bit at the end. The sometimes leader of the Insecticons, though sometimes that's debatable, and people will argue and say that Bombshell is the leader of the Insecticons. I always felt like Bombshell was too, but I believe, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe officially it's Shrapnel. Shrapnel controls electricity, and he does like to watch his victims squirm and writhe as basically they're being electrocuted to death so that he can devour them. Pretty dark stuff if you ask me. Plus he has huge aspirations, literally by making himself gigantic. How can you not respect someone who has such unbridled passion and such demented, twisted thoughts? Shrapnel takes the number 4 slot. And as you might expect now at number 3 is Bombshell. And this will be very short, very sweet. The people that voted for Bombshell said the exact same things. One, that they were pretty sure he was the leader of the Insecticons. I let it pass because for a long time I thought the same thing, and maybe he is, and I'm incorrect now in thinking it's Shrapnel. But 2, they said Cerebro Shells. Not only can he kind of control the Insecticon clones, but if he puts Cerebro Shells into anybody, he can control an army of anyone. Subservient drones to their master? Yeah, that's pretty powerful, and so is Bombshell. Enough that fans thought he was able to take the number 3 slot. Number 2 will be For the Royalty by way of Beast Wars Inferno, the Fire Ant. Yes, I'll say this too, Antagony also had 1 vote, but Inferno was very, very, very popular. Very popular. For a while, Inferno was ranking number 1. For a while, Bombshell was ranking number 1, to be honest with you. The top 3 was pretty close this time around. But a lot of people, again, said the same thing here. 1, he's a fire ant. I hate ants. They're terrifying. 2, he's so loyal to Megatron while also being so psychotically vicious that you can never underestimate this guy in battle. And when you see him coming, you know it's going to be a formidable fight. Yes, Beast Wars Inferno takes the number 2 slot. And number 1 won't be a shock to too many. However, for a long time, he was not number 1, and he only kind of put a push on near the end. It's Waspinator. Yeah, the universe might hate Waspinator, but the fans don't. The fans thought that he was the most important, best, prolific Insectoid Transformer. Certainly the best known. Again, between animated and Beast Wars. Even if you don't watch Beast Wars or follow it, everybody knows Waspinator. Everybody knows he gets, blown to bits all the time, and everybody knows that the universe hates Waspinator, and that's why the fans love him. Yeah, Waspinator takes the number 1 slot. And that's it, 10 down to 1 for the best Insectoid Transformers. Other ones that had votes, I already mentioned Antagony, Ransack had some votes, RID 2015, Chop Shop had some votes, as well as RID 2015, Scorponok, Energon Scorponok, Black Zarek had some votes, Squeeze Play, I like that one, Venom had some votes, of course one of the deluxe Insecticons, Transmetal 2 Scourge, Transmetal Scavenger, Bumblebee, because of his name, not his alt mode, which I thought, I sort of let it in there, but I thought that was a funny one to mention. Barrage, Beast Wars Insecticon, who else do we have here? Predacon Beetle, Quick Strike, Beast Wars Jetstorm, Nodulator had some, Rampage or Protoform X, Transketo, Energon Insecticon, and Beast Wars Buzzsaw, as well as others. Did your favorite make the list? Did your favorite make the honorable mentions? Did your favorite make it at the very end? I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you are in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you are at it, please, man, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and yeah. Especially don't forget that somehow, man, some way, each and every single solitary day, you right there, you do make a difference in the world, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way, right here, inside the videos.